After leaving Cartagena, our next destination is the Panama Canal. We are up early and head toward the bow of the boat to watch our entrance into the Gatun locks. These set of 2 locks will raise us 85 feet to the Gatun Lake, where we'll spend most of the day traveling across Panama.
Oh, there go our gates. They're opening up now. I don't know if we're going to fit in there.
One of the first things they do is tie the ship to 4 electric mules. These don't pull the ship through the locks, they're just used for centering. The ship has to move on its own power. It's a tight fit, as with most of the ships going through. I think we had about 14 to 16 inches of clearance on each side.
That's probably about 2 feet, huh? Hard to tell.
I'll give you the exact schedule. Give you the exact schedule as soon as I know. Well, I'm heard about the next schedule thing.
That is nice shit.
This cruise ship is the Oceana Regatta. It was traveling through at the same time we were.
Yo! Goodbye! We're going with you. You're going somewhere. Nice, she's small. I see the cabin in the back of that one.
As we finally enter the lake, we see ships all lined up. They're all waiting to leave. Apparently in the morning, all the ships enter the lake. Then in the afternoon, they all leave. They're also mostly empty, because the ships are charged by how much they actually weigh. Our passage cost Holland America just under $500,000. As we travel through the lake, we get some wonderful scenes of the Panama jungle. As we leave the lake, we enter the Culebra Cut. This is the channel that most of the work was done in making the Panama Canal. The lock gates take a special floating crane to remove them for maintenance. This is called the Titan. It was made in Germany during World War II and eventually brought here. Maintenance on this channel is continuous. Between landslides and just sediment, there's a lot of work to be done. Here we see them dredging. This is the Centennial Bridge. the newer of the two bridges that cross the canal. This one was opened in 2004. During the late afternoon, we come to our first of the last two locks that'll lead us down to the Pacific Ocean. We were told after trying many high-tech solutions, they went back to 2 men in a rowboat to get the starter ropes to the ship. The gates do move very slow. This video was sped up 5 times, just to give you a sense of some of the movement. On the right you can see where they're constructing 3 of the new larger locks. Each will have 3 collecting ponds to recycle the water. The new locks, 3 on the Pacific side and 3 on the Caribbean, will handle much larger ships and will be used in conjunction with the existing locks. Peeking out over the jungle is our first view of Panama City. I wasn't prepared for such a large metropolis and its impressive skyline. A lot of the cargo through the Panama Canal is shipped by rail. The ships are unloaded, then reloaded on the other side. This is the Bridge of Americas, the original bridge that crosses the canal.
Okay, we're passing under the Bridge of Americas.
As far as the Bridge of the Americas, of course, it does cover the Pan American highway system, the highway that goes from the very far north to the very far south of the American continent, with only one interruption here in Panama. Very, very dense jungle between Panama and Colombia. It's called the Darien Jungle, and that is called the Darien Gap.
This is something they call modern architecture. We really didn't think it fit into the landscape.
They even have a Johns Hopkins hospital, so people come here for all kinds of medical procedures at a fraction of the price.
Back at sea, we enjoyed some of the shipboard activities. Here Marianne is taking a refresher course in animal towel folding.
Well, because of the size, yeah, because of the size, so it's not so...
So, unlike ice and washcloth.
Yeah, for the small dog. Yeah? Small dog.
Thanks for having me. He's very easy. You can also your
Bingo!
While Marianne was watching the towel folding, I watched some culinary artistry. Afterward, we enjoyed a salmon barbecue on deck, and then spent some time in the crow's nest. With the older crowd, the early shows fill quickly in the main lounge, so we spent a lot of time in the piano bar. The theme for this night was Elton John. Our first stop on the Pacific side is Costa Rica, a small town called Punta Candon. We were up early, about 5:15. Our tour bus leaves at about 7:30. Some of the sights we saw from the bus included some alligators on the bank of a river. Our plan for the day is an aerial canopy tour, including 10 zip lines. The area we were traveling was along the coast, and it didn't seem as tropical as I'd expected or had seen in Panama. We never did see anything that we'd really consider to be a rainforest. The first part of this tour is on this open aerial tram. Our guide wasn't that informative, and we really didn't get to see that much of the canopy. We were told to really experience the rainforest, you needed to get away from the coast and up into the mountains. We were also surprised we didn't get to see that much wildlife. 1 or 2 birds was about it. I even had to dub in the background rainforest sounds. One thing we saw a lot of were termite nests. They really are set up to get a lot of tourists through here. They have paved pathways, and the zip lines weren't as impressive as the ones we did in Alaska.
We're working on it.
If you look really closely here, I got a quick glimpse of a toucan. Here comes Marianne. This is what happens when you don't get enough speed built up on the zip lines.
Grab the cable is wrong, that's right. Now I'm gonna hold you with my legs and okay, that's all. Hands away? Yes. Yes. Very good. I got you. No hands, no.
Go.
This is what it looks like from Marianne's perspective.
Got me.
And now it's my turn.
Up here, okay? It's good that way. Try to grab the upper cable. Excellent. Now this one right here. Very good. This for you. Good step, sir.
Back down from the hillside, we had a tour of a botanical garden. Most of these plants had to be brought in since this isn't really that tropical an area. These were some decorative miniature pineapples. Included in this tour was sort of a zoo where they had cages with some local snakes. Overall, we were rather disappointed and got the feeling we really didn't get to see what Costa Rica was all about. Back at the dock, we had some time to wander around town and do a little shopping. We were impressed with the craftsmanship of the local rosewood boxes. I ended up buying a small ballet box with a wooden bowl thrown in. Our stop in Nicaragua is at a very small town called Corento. We didn't plan for anything, so we spent our time just walking around town. There were a lot of these 3-wheel taxi bikes for rent. An hour tour of the town and the surrounding area would cost you around $10. We decided to just stroll through the town, and ended up actually buying quite a few things from the local craftsmen. These were things that were actually made locally, and you can actually talk to the artist who made them. They were setting up for some sort of holiday. There were a number of booths with decorative cakes and stages being set up for bands. We stopped at this open-air bar. They had beers they were selling out of coolers. They were $1 a can or a big giant bottle for $2. We ended up having 2 each. That evening there was an unusual sunset. This is the actual color of the sun as it was setting over the water. The next day was Queen's Day, and Holland America had a small party in honor of the Queen, or now the King. The food looked a lot like we had in Amsterdam. I was surprised how calm the water has been throughout our trip. We had seen a school of flying fish earlier, and now sea turtles, passing the ship about once every minute. Our next stop takes us to Mexico, and a town so small I can't even find it on the map.